Bulls Nation, it was close, it was competitive, it was tight all game, but unfortunately the Chicago Bulls walk out of the United Center today against the New York Knicks with our first loss of the season. And the most important thing to take away from a loss like this is that there are so many things we can learn from our first loss of this season. And throughout all of the negatives that we'll talk about today and a few positives, we still kept this to a one-possession game, potentially could have won it with the last shot of the game. So without further ado, let's talk about the Chicago Bulls and the New York Knicks in this video. Let's do it. What's going on, everybody? It's the Bulls Show, aka Aidan, and welcome back to another video. Today we've got a Chicago Bulls related video referring to the game reaction between the New York Knicks and the Chicago Bulls. We walked out of here with our first loss of the season, and it's a tough pill to swallow. It was a very frustrating game for many people watching this. There were many foul calls that were not given for both sides, but of course this is a Bulls channel, so it's the Bulls that we'll probably be talking about in that area. But at the end of the day, we still have a lot to learn from a game like this. Before we get started, please like and subscribe to the Bulls Show, turn notifications on, and let me know in the comments below your thoughts about this game and who was your player of the game. Let's kick things started. There are a few things that comes to mind when I think about this game early. First of all, full credit to the New York Knicks to play the defense that they did. They came with the intention to stop Zach LaVine and DeMar DeRozan, and although I wouldn't say they stopped those two players, they definitely had them shooting poorly from the field. The stat line for both of those players, I think, are very decent, but at the end of the day, when you do end up shooting a really poor percentage from the field and you're inefficient in the game, there is obviously a potential for the New York Knicks to run away with the game. This game, the New York Knicks had to lead the majority of the game, and again, it was led to their defense. They ended up running out in transition as well. The Chicago Bulls got a little bit frustrated because of the lack of foul calls and everything of that nature, and the New York Knicks ended up pretty much keeping the lead for the majority of the game. However, we did a fantastic job late on to try and stay in the game. Throughout the course of the game, we tried to stay in it. We did a fantastic job in the final minutes to get stops, to get on a 10-0 run, and try to make sure that we had a chance to win the game. And of course, we had a chance to win the game. DeMar DeRozan took the last shot of the game. If it went in, we'll be talking about a different song and dance, but unfortunately, he airballed, and we will have a lot to talk about with that final shot. The weaknesses of this team that I've come to aware of, and of course I think many people could have predicted this coming into the game, the rebounding and second chance opportunities for the New York Knicks was much higher than the Chicago Bulls. I think we kept the ball a lot cleaner than them, but a lot of our, weaknesses lied in the rebounding department, second chance opportunities. It doesn't help that Patrick Williams ended up not returning to the game. And for what I want to see now is I want to try Alize Johnson at the power forward position. I've been talking about it since preseason. I've been talking about it since he signed here. I think Alize Johnson could be a perfect fit to fix the rebounding issues that we have on certain nights. Now, unfortunately, I don't think we're going to see that anytime soon. We did try different rotations today. We saw Ayo enter the game. We saw Tony Bradley enter the game. We did have a different lineup compared to what, the New York Knicks haven't seen before. And I definitely think that helped towards fighting in this game. But rebounding was a poor thing that we saw, and the New York Knicks out-hustled us today, ladies and gentlemen, which is a sad thing to say because at home, I feel like this team, the Chicago Bulls, should never get out-hustled at home. I just feel like that is an old-school mentality to have. You cannot have teams work harder than you when you're at home, and I feel like the New York Knicks did that. That came with the second chance opportunities. That came with, of course, deflections and whatnot. New York Knicks and the Bulls are the highest deflection teams in the NBA, one of them. And I just felt like they worked a little bit harder. So they deserved the win, to be fair. And that's what you have to give credit to. It's hard to say. It's an honesty thing. You have to give credit to where it's due. The Knicks deserve to win the game. And for all the reasons that I mentioned, the Chicago Bulls do have a lot to work on. Positive, I think Nikola Vucevic finally had a good game today. I understand he was partly at fault for the reason why that last shot was as contested as it was, and we'll talk about that a little bit later, but I thought Vucevic had a fantastic game today, and again, he was being efficient, and he was just doing his thing. I really enjoyed his game today. And overall, the Chicago Bulls kept the ball. we have to rely a little bit more on other players outside of DeMar and Zach LaVine. I think that, again, the New York Knicks came with the mentality to stop those two players, and we didn't see any Lonzo Ball in the second half for the majority in terms of taking shots. Very rarely did you see Lonzo Ball take a shot that was actually passed to him by another teammate. He was forced to take his own shots. No one else really gave him the ball. Same with Nikola Vucevic. I thought if we found Nikola Vucevic a little bit more, we probably would have had more opportunities, because he was the most efficient player on the team today. Outside of that, look, we have a lot to work on, and I'm sure the Bulls will be taking note of all of these situations, all of the things that I've mentioned. They'll be watching the film, and they'll be analyzing the situation, and the New York Knicks are a very tough team, so if there's any team to lose to, there's no shame in losing to the New York Knicks. However, there are just things we do need to work on. Let's move on to individual performances, ladies and gentlemen. We do have a few things to discuss today. First things first, we'll talk about Nikola Vucevic. He had 22 points, 8 rebounds, 6 assists, and 1 steal. This was a pretty good game from Nikola Vucevic, in my opinion. I don't think, out of every player out here, he was definitely the most efficient. I don't think he had a bad game whatsoever. He was making threes, making mid-ranges. He was going into the post. He wasn't bricking a lot of post shots today. I don't think this is a bad game whatsoever from Nikola Vucevic. However, that last player of the game, I think he is at fault for dragging another defender to contest DeMar DeRozan, and unfortunately DeMar DeRozan airballed that shot. I'm not saying that's the reason why we lost, and I think Stacey King said it best. It is a poor thing to see when Nikola Vucevic kind of did drag out the man, but of course we fought our way back so often, and we actually got really close to one possession game. So I can't blame Nikola Vucevic for the reason why we lost the game. There are many reasons why we lost this game, but that was a poor play from Nikola Vucevic, and unfortunately that did result in us not making the last shot of the game. But overall, I thought he had a good game today, and that's all I could really say. Zach LaVine had 25 points, 6 rebounds, 3 assists, 1 block. Zach LaVine did not have the most efficient scoring night, and that is probably the key takeaway here. He does look like himself. That thumb injury that we're all talking about coming into this game, the torn ligament in his thumb, we all thought that this could potentially hinder his performances. I personally think that Zach LaVine looked as good as ever, but the New York Knicks did a fantastic job guarding Zach LaVine, making him take contested shots, allowing him to pass the ball up and not necessarily take a lot of shots in this game. So I thought it was a good performance. He got to the line as well, which is a good thing, but not efficient, and that's the one thing. Another thing with Zach LaVine, he cannot be frustrated. That's the one thing that you don't want to see Zach LaVine angry, frustrated, because it will take him out of his game. You saw a lot of forced shots because of his temper and how angry he was. That's something I don't want to see going forward. Of course, the referee foul calls did play a big factor in this game. There were a lot of calls. I don't know how the clear path wasn't called on Lonzo Ball. I don't know how the reach in from, I believe it was RJ Barrett on Zach LaVine wasn't called. There are a number of foul calls that wasn't given in the Bulls' favor today, and that obviously is a frustrating sight to see, but you have to keep your cool in these situations, and I don't think Zach LaVine did a good job in that area. DeMar DeRozan had 20 points, 3 rebounds, 5 assists, 2 steals, and 1 block. The same issues I have with Zach LaVine are the same issues I have with DeMar DeRozan. They stopped him pretty well today. In the end, 20 points and 5 assists. It's a good night for DeMar DeRozan in terms of statistics. Not efficient today. And the New York Knicks set out to stop DeMar DeRozan and Zach LaVine. Although they had good stats, efficiency was dead and buried. There was no efficiency in today's game, and that's why they ended up taking shots and missing shots, but they still ended up getting pretty good stats overall. These two players need to rely on other teammates a little bit more. Nikola Vucevic, Lonzo Ball, you even had Patrick Williams starting to hit up a little bit before he didn't return. I just felt like they tried to take things under their wing a little bit, and the New York Knicks were ready for that. So hopefully the next time we face them, we'll end up having a different game plan to try and make sure that we have other players involved. If Vucevic is more involved, if Lonzo Ball's making shots, then Zach LaVine and DeMar will both be a little bit more open in that game. And I just don't think they did a good job in, I guess, the ball movement area. Patrick Williams had 6 points, 2 rebounds, 1 steal. I have nothing to say about Patrick Williams. I thought offensively while he was playing, he was phenomenal in today's game. It's a shame that he didn't return, and I thought this was finally going to be the game where we see that athleticism, where we saw that defensive play. He stopped an alley-oop in today's game as well. it's unfortunate what happened. It seems like every time we see a good stint for Patrick Williams, he ends up getting hurt, which is very unfortunate. Hopefully he's not out for too long. I believe it's a wrist injury. I hope he's not out for too long. We'll wait and see. Lonzo Ball had 6 points, 6 rebounds, 4 assists, and 1 steal. Lonzo Ball needs to make the defense pay. There were a certain amount of times, again, they were blitzing screens and they were double teaming DeMar and Zach. They need Lonzo Ball to make shots, and Lonzo Ball unfortunately just wasn't making those 3-point shots that we normally see from him. It's a tough game to watch when Lonzo Ball isn't making open threes, and I think the team kind of neglected him in many ways. Unfortunately, when he was missing a lot of shots, there were certain times where he was open in the corner, certain times where he was open at the top, and he just didn't get the ball. And I don't know if that's the team doing it on purpose or they're just not focused. They're not focused on giving him the ball. But I think Lonzo Ball needs to try and make teams pay from the 3-point line, especially in a game like this when they're targeting so much on DeMar DeRozan and Zach LaVine. Lonzo Ball needs to be the guy. Vucevic needs to be the guy to make those players pay. And I don't think Lonzo Ball did a very good job of that. Defensively, I thought he was fine. I think guarding Julius Randle was a big step for Lonzo Ball at the end of the day. I think we trust him in a lot of 1v1 situations. But outside of the defensive end, I don't think Lonzo had a terrific game today. Alex Caruso, 10 points, 6 assists, 2 steals. I mean, what can I say about Alex Caruso that hasn't already been said? He's getting really consistent with his playmaking and his defense. 2 steals today. He's one of the league leaders in steals, and he led the team in steals today with DeMar DeRozan. It was a fantastic sight to see. And again, with Alex Caruso, we know what he's all about, and it's great to see him on this team. Troy Brown Jr., 5 points, 4 rebounds. He made his shots. He did take a really tough shot that ended up getting blocked by Taj Gibson. I think Troy Brown Jr. needs to focus more on his shot selection and also his decision-making on the court, because if he had the awareness, he maybe could have taken a mid-range shot, or maybe he just takes the 3, or he does find Tony Bradley in the paint, and things might have been a little bit different in his score sheet today, and maybe he would have a little bit of a better game. Javonte Green, 5 points, 3 rebounds, 1 assist. He got into foul trouble, which is why we didn't see him as much on the floor as he would like. It's unfortunate, but these are the things that do happen. Foul trouble did hurt Javonte Green today. He was guarding bigger players, so in the end, the bigger players tried to make him pay by getting him out of the game. I thought he stood up well in terms of the big guys, again, Julius Randle and whatnot. I think Julius Randle had close to a triple-double, but he didn't have his best game scoring-wise, and I'll give full credit to Javonte Green and Patrick Williams, Lonzo Ball, and everybody else that guarded him. I thought we did a good job guarding him, but in hindsight, we also have to watch the perimeter players as well. That's another issue of this game. We saw Kemba Walker make a good amount of threes in this game. Obviously, Evan Fournier got hot in the second half. Derrick Rose, we all know Derrick Rose, what he can do. He got a massive ovation today with Taj Gibson. At the end of the day, we do need to watch every single player. We can't just focus on Julius Randle, and the perimeter players made us pay, RJ Barrett as well. Now, the must improve, I will give to Lonzo Ball, because at the end of the day, I feel like the key between winning and losing this game is if Lonzo Ball makes his shots or not. And today, he didn't make the shots, and I think the Bulls really suffered from that lack of 3-point shooting from Lonzo Ball. He had 6 points today, but I felt like he could have done a little bit better. I really till this time, I don't know how that clear path foul wasn't called on him, and that could have ended up changing the way this game was played. If those 2 free throws were made, we win this game at the end of the day. If, again, just based on the two extra points, obviously the game might not go that way. But yeah, it's a bit shocking in that area, but I feel like if Lonzo Ball is going to be shooting the ball at a higher clip, at a higher level, with better efficiency, then I think we win this game. I wouldn't say comfortably, but we probably do win this game. And my player of the game is actually going to be Nikola Vucevic. I thought efficiency, he was the best player on the team today. And again, he's like the lone man rebounding this time around. I know LaVine had 6 rebounds, but overall, it just wasn't a strong rebounding game from the Bulls. And we do need some help with Nikola Vucevic in the paint. And that's why I said I feel like Alizé needs to be given a chance on this team. And we'll wait and see if the Chicago Bulls will give him that help down the line. We don't know what's going to happen with Patrick Williams if he misses or he comes back in the games. We'll wait and see, but we do need some rebounding help from Nikola Vucevic. But offensively, I thought he was the man that really made the difference today. He was making threes, he was in the post, taking mid-ranges, and I felt like they should have found him more because he was super efficient in today's game. The Bulls record, unfortunately, we do suffer our first loss. We are 4-1 in this regular season. It's a tough pill to swallow, but this does happen. We will lose games. It's not out the realms of possibility. The Bulls can't go undefeated every single game. I think a 4-1 start is a really good start to the season, regardless of who we lost to, and it's fantastic to see the Bulls have that great start, and hopefully this loss, we can learn from it, we can take things from it. The New York Knicks defense, we can learn a little bit from that. We can learn about how to, I guess, guard pick and rolls and guard the three-point shooters, because the New York Knicks did a fantastic job there. There are things to learn from this game, and I hope to see the Chicago Bulls learn from them in the future. We have versed the New York Knicks once. We'll verse them 3 more times in the regular season. So we do have some bigger and better games looking forward to for the New York Knicks as well. And hopefully the Chicago Bulls can get the better of them in the next one. And our next game is against the Utah Jazz. One tough game to another tough game, ladies and gentlemen. I believe the Utah Jazz will be undefeated coming into the United Center to play the Chicago Bulls. So we're going to have a test here as well. And we should be very determined to try and break that streak from the Utah Jazz. Simple as that. Obviously, the New York Knicks were very determined to make sure they were the team to break our streak, our 4-0 streak. And now the Utah Jazz will probably come into this game undefeated. We need to try and break their streak. That's how it should go, and hopefully the Chicago Bulls can be successful. And again, we need to learn from every single team. We have a tough schedule coming ahead, and we're not going to win every single game, but we have to learn from these games and try to recover and bounce back from a loss like this. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe if you're new. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. I'll see you in another Chicago Bulls video, ladies and gentlemen. Hopefully we pick it up against the Jazz. Stay safe, stay healthy, stay tuned for more. Take care and peace.